Coach, what's the advantage of having these camps? Obviously, you get a lot of guys in here. Some walk up, some, are prearranged to come here. But what's the advantage of getting them up here?
I'd say the advantage is we get a chance to work with the kids hands-on, a chance to see how they apply what we teach them in the classroom and then go out in the field and how they compete and how they learn and things like that. And so it's a good environment for us to do some hands-on work with these kids.
In terms of a recruiting tool, maybe not even, the kids this year and future years, that sort of thing, how important is it for them to get on campus, see stuff, see your facilities, that sort of thing?
I think it's huge. I think if you have any interest in a school, you need to get there. You need to meet the coaches. You need to see the facilities. You need to see where potentially you can spend the next 4 or 5 years of your life. So I think it's really important to get out to these camps and compete and show people what you can do.
Well, what is the main goal of these camps? Is it just kind of to find those run-ons to kind of fill future holes, or what is the number one thing you aim for when you're out here?
It's just prospect evaluation. And it may be from a scholarship player to a run-on player, but we just want to get out here and watch kids compete and see how they learn.
Is there something, a valuable part, seeing one prospect compete against other prospects, as opposed to kind of, where they're all kind of going against each other, as opposed to, whoever they're facing in games and in practices?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of times you can get out here and you can kind of make some matchups, or the quality of one player against the quality of another player. So it's a good way just to see how a kid goes against somebody who is pretty good competition.
There's usually a lot of information about kids out there. How often is it that a kid comes here that you haven't really heard about, and it's like, wow, he ran this, or he looks, tremendous?
It happens, but we're usually pretty thorough in
Right.
our research and in our recruiting process. But it does happen. A kid will pop up. He may run a good 40 or have a good shuttle or come out here and make some catches. And it does catches your eye, and then you try to follow up on it from there.
And at this point in the game, how much stock do you put in it when it's it's one workout, and obviously you guys have tons of tape and stuff to sift through? How much emphasis do you put on just today or overall?
Well, no, it's a small part of the whole evaluation process, but it's certainly a way to catch an eye and get some interest. And it's our jobs as coaches to go and then follow up from then if we see somebody who has a good day out here today.
When you catch an eye, do you guys go right after this and sit down and evaluate things? Do you maybe wait a week and get all the film and then evaluate? Or how does that work when someone catches your eye?
Well, we like to talk about them right now, watch fresh in everybody's mind, and everybody can kind of go out there and reevaluate a kid if we have to. But, it's important that we get together as soon as this camp's over and talk about these kids.
I know you can't talk about specific prospects, but where are you guys in the recruiting process with only being allowed 15? You already have a bunch of commits. What are kind of the goals for the last however many, months you have until next February?
We're certainly pleased with where we are right now. Recruiting's going well, and, we just want to keep the momentum going. And, we still have some work to do, but, we're hoping to close out this class really well.
Are there any areas of focus you could tell us about, or?
We're just looking for the best players that are fit for Penn State, We're just looking for good football players. We want to bring them in, and we'll figure out where they go from there.
Go ahead.
There are obviously a lot of guys out here, a lot to keep track of. What is the first thing you look at? What does one guy have to do to maybe stick out and make a name for himself and get pulled aside by one of you guys?
To me, it's how do they learn? How do they take something that we teach them in a classroom, and then how do they apply it to what's going on out here on the practice field? How do they take coaching? How do they react if they have a bad play? Do they come back? Do they sulk? Do they come back and make a better play? So it's just the competitive things like that it's hard to evaluate on tape that you can see out here in a camp like this.
How many run-ons or commits from last year did you get from the camp? How valuable was it to you, last year?
It was very valuable. I know we had a couple kids that we offered last year off camp, and a couple kids that'll be run-ons for us this fall. We're here, so it's very important tool for us.
Do you happen to know how many run-ons by any chance? Was it like more than 5?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you the number.
It's like 95 degrees out. You're wearing long sleeves there. Is that just are you crazy, or is that just a guy who spent a lot of time in the South?
It's a guy who spent a lot of time in the South. I am from Georgia, and it's also a free sweat, so I like to take advantage of it.
You term the next week the June 8th camp, the underclassmen camp, but you have some 2015-16 guys here as well. But what's the advantage of you splitting them up into an underclassmen camp? Does it allow you to evaluate them maybe more evenly? Do the guys that are here today going against 2014s get more of an advantage? Can you just talk about how that distinction works?
No, it's just a way of trying to divide the camps up where we don't have too many kids, where there's kids aren't getting enough reps and it's harder to evaluate. So we have a few more camps this year, and we're kind of spreading it out. So smaller groups, more reps, and better chance for us to evaluate.
Do the different position coaches focus on just their position, or when you're out there, are you checking out a tight end or whatever? Could anybody catch your eye, or are you kind of zeroing in on your position?
Anybody could certainly catch your eye, then you may pass it on to another coach. But
Yeah.
you also want to check guys that are in your recruiting area that you may just want to touch base with and see how they're doing, who may be in a position that you don't coach. But you're focused on your position, but you're always looking for a player, and you may pass the information on to another coach.
Where does this kind of rank up with evaluating film? Kids you see out here today. How valuable is this compared to maybe evaluating film? Is this, more important? Is this just a different, type of thing? I mean, what is the dynamic with that?
It's a portion of it. There's certain things you can see on film, but sometimes you really don't know until you get a kid here in camp and can work with them and see what happens from there. So this is a really important tool for us. You get a lot of the information off film, but you like to verify it out here at camp.
And I assume you're watching film of the kids from camp as well. I mean, are you guys allowed to tape this, or how does that work?
Yes, we're allowed to, and we'll view it and we'll show it to the kids, and we'll try to make some corrections, and then hopefully they'll come out here and apply it in the afternoon session.
How much of a logistical challenge is that with all these kids here to try to figure out who's who and that sort of thing?
It is a bit of a challenge, but that's why there's numbers on the back and things of that sort. So it's a lot of kids out here, but we track them the best we can, and there are a lot of sets of eyes out here, so that helps in the evaluation process.
Is there anything in particular that you can see at something like this that you can't see on film? When you see someone in person in camp here?
Yeah, like I said, it's how do they learn? How do they adjust? How do they take coaching? If I've taught them a route and they go out there and maybe they make a mistake on the route, I correct them. Now, how do they go out there and do it the next time they run their route? Did they apply it and go from there? So that's stuff that you really can't see on film that we can learn here at camp.
You said you'll watch the film. I mean, there's more than 300 kids. How do you even start doing that? I mean, is there like a list and you'll pay close attention to certain numbers? I mean, how do you even begin to kind of, break that all down?
Yeah, certainly. You know numbers and you have a list and you just kind of watch it that way. It's it's part of our job, so you got to sift through quite a bit of film, but it's what we get paid to do. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, is there like you guys will come up with maybe, top 25 guys you need to keep track of, or is it just like, every time you see someone make a good play, you kind of make a mark and add him to the list?
I think each coach probably has their own different way of doing things. I have certain guys that I'm keeping an eye on, but some kid makes a play, I want to watch him the next play. I want to see if he can continue the momentum and he can make a play the next time as well.